Guess who's Bazak? Guess who's Bazak?
Right up in your face. Pop up in your face like toast. Yo, peace and blessings. Ancestors love dwelling in the light of Yah the Most High. Shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. Resurrecting as gods on earth, while others around us choose to be Satan on earth. Goodness gracious. So I'm gonna title this video. The title of this video is How Are You Not? How are you not? How are you not a modern day black FBI COINTELPRO agent? How are you not? So, once again, I don't know why it is, man. It must be a YouTube algorithm thing. But I guess, you know, those of us who are engaged in so-called pro-black discussions on social media, I guess, you know, YouTube feels like anybody that's, you know, talking about black thing or things that are important to black people, that they should share that notification, you know, with other people that, you know, are talking about pro-black issues. And so with that being said, unfortunately, Mr. Tariq Nasheed, he keeps popping up on my notifications, and the titles that he has, unfortunate for me, unfortunately, oh, I'm not gonna say unfortunately for me, I'm not gonna say that, not unfortunately, but for me, you know, I am a descendant of East African ancestors, the people that the Bible is talking about, God and the children of God. I am a bloodline descendant of those people. And so, you know, those of y'all that follow me on social media spaces, you know that my understanding of the Bible is totally different from, you know, what white supremacist seminary schools have taught people on the continent of Africa and have taught descendants of African slaves over here in America. My understanding of the Bible is completely different because I'm a bloodline descendant. So when I see the titles that Tariq Nasheed be dropping, it infuriates my ancestors whenever I see him, you know, posting stuff. And a lot of this stuff is just like real distasteful stuff against brothers and sisters on the mother continent. You know, this whole thing about delineation, and I think the reason why it really frustrates ancestors and myself, the reason why it frustrates ancestors and myself is because we know history has already shown us. I mean, we already know that Africa was colonized. So what does that mean, Africa being colonized? That means that babies coming up on the continent of Africa were basically raised by the mentality, the mindset of white supremacists. Just like over here, those of us that are descendants of slaves, we were raised up under white supremacy. So just like you got house niggas here in America, you have African puppets over on the continent of Africa. And in the middle is white supremacy, pitting one against the other, making sure that there is no unity taking place between the two. So, not too long ago, I mean, it was like a couple days ago, I was speaking on, you know, how it is, you know, we got these Judas Iscariots among us that are doing their best to keep unity from happening in the African diaspora. Making sure that unity does not happen between brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa, brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, and brothers and sisters here in the United States, and brothers and sisters in the United Kingdom. We have Judas Iscariots among us who were raised up under white supremacy in United Kingdom, on the continent of Africa, in the Caribbean, here in America. All of these that I'm seeing on social media, especially these ones calling themselves, FBA, and talk about they delineating and all like that. And then the people that they call themselves delineating from, they're acting like these are not people like them. They are acting like they are not delineating from house niggas on the continent, house niggas in United Kingdom, house niggas in the Caribbean. All of this is that's who it is. And white supremacy is standing in between the two of them and saying fight. Just like on Mortal Kombat, fight. And they don't see it. It's like, yo, you are so blind. It's like, look, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand that, you do have house niggas on the continent come over here to America. They bowing down to white supremacy, and their purpose is to undermine things that descendants of African slaves are trying to do here in America. That they'll take the side of white supremacy before they take the side of descendants of slaves here in America. I'm well aware of that. But I'm not gonna act like they're the only people in the African family. There are other people on the continent of Africa that are woke. And anytime I see these posts that Tariq Nasheed and other people, this like clinging to white supremacy here in America, it's like they like defending it. And on a subconscious, subliminal way, they are defending the very white supremacy that they've been complaining about for years. Now all of a sudden they don't have no complaints about it. Now all of a sudden everything is A-okay. We gonna act like, sisters like Sonya Massey not still, getting murdered in their house by the police department. We gonna act like it ain't, like the police department ain't filled up with a bunch of white supremacist, Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazi dudes. We gonna keep acting like that. It's like people like Tariq, these foundational black Americans, that are following him. Unfortunately, I'm foundational black American. I'm a descendant of African slaves, born and raised here in this country. On my father's side, they are coming up in Virginia off of the slave ships. On my mother's side, they came off of the slave ships down in Charleston, South Carolina. So on both sides of my family, I have, descendants of African slaves. On my father's side, it's more West African. On my mom's side, because of who her mother is, that's East African. That's East Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea territory. But even on my mom's side, there is some of that also, Ethiopia, Eritrea lineage. But all of them are descendants of the slave trade. I can't really say that about the Ethiopian side of the family, because on my mom's side, on my grandfather, my mother's father, on his side of the family, there was an Ethiopian woman who was a servant, or working as an indentured servant to people, to this one man that was in the United States government. He was some type of senator. He's also the forefather of Laura Linney. If y'all know who Laura Linney, if y'all don't know who Laura Linney is the woman from that show Ozark. There's a show on Netflix called Ozark, and she's the wife of the character that Justin Bateman was playing. But at any rate, the Ethiopian woman was an indentured servant to her and my grandfather from, I don't know if he was from Ireland or if he was from Britain. There's family members that say he was Irish. I'm not really sure of that. All I know is on my mother's side, my mother's father's side, that is a mixture of Nigerian Ethiopian and Irish lineage, if that dude is Irish. But she came over as an indentured servant. She didn't come over on those slave ships. Now, where my grandmother is concerned, coming from St. Ann's Bay, she is a descendant of the slaves that were brought into the Caribbean. And y'all know, the relationship between Jamaica and Ethiopia. The way the story in the stories that I've heard is that particular empire, Aksumite Empire, it was a major trade port. It was a major shipping port, and the ships that were coming into that area were bringing in goods from Rome. Coming across the Mediterranean, down the Nile, into that Ethiopian territory. And of course, when you got ships that are traveling like that, it's easy for citizens in that territory, and it's Ethiopian Eritrea today, but it was Aksumite Empire at that back in the day. And you got them Phoenician ships coming up in there. It's easy to become a laborer on those ships back then. And so, to my understanding, with them ships, and this is during the time before continental drift. This is like during the beginning stages of continental drift, when the Americas was not that far from Africa. And from my understanding, my grandmother's family are this bloodline descendants of people that were on them Phoenician ships, sailing from, Aksumite Empire, the Nile, the Mediterranean, westward, and ending up in between North America and South America, like where all of those islands are at. But I'm getting off subject. I said the title of this video is How Can You Not Be? How can you not be a modern day black FBI COINTELPRO agent? And why am I asking that question? How can you not be that? Because when it comes down to us, children, from the mother continent, bloodline descendants of the mother continent, those that were victims of colonization and slavery, when it comes down to us and our relationship with white supremacy, we have to understand at the end of the day that as a people on this planet, we don't have any respect. Nobody gives us respect. I don't care where you go on this planet, whether you find us in Asia areas, we're not really getting respect. You find us down in East India, among the East Indians, we're not really getting any respect. You find us up in Europe or around the Europeans, we're not really getting any respect. Even over here in America, they be talking like the Hispanics don't even really be giving us no respect. We don't even respect ourselves. So we have to understand the condition that we are in. Our condition is the result of us having foreign rulers over us. Our condition is the result of our ancestors ending up colonized and ending up under the boot of foreigners. And being under the boot of foreigners, it has made us give love to everybody else other than our own selves. When you listen to these foundational black Americans and Tariq Nasheed and all of them, they would rather live in this oppression and deal with this oppression and give, white supremacy a pass. They would rather do that than to fight for unity among their African family. It's like whatever issues you have with the Caribbeans, whatever issues you have with the Africans, or the family members on the continent of Africa, rather than, fighting to make sure that, we are on code and we are family, and at the end of the day, we are one body, rather than doing that, You rather come out your mouth with this delineation crap. And that's what makes me say, how can you not be a black FBI COINTELPRO agent? Adding insult to injury. When we understand that, okay, if you are at war with an enemy, and I'm not even really saying that white supremacy is our enemy anymore, because right now, we have become our own worst enemies. It's like the white man's brain has gotten into black people, and now the hate that white people have for black folks, now we got black folks that have taken on that mentality toward other black folks. But at any rate, when you are, from my understanding with war, strength comes in numbers. Strength comes in numbers. I don't understand how anybody could, call themselves delineating, and somebody who is African bloodline, I don't understand how anybody that's African bloodline could call themselves delineating from the mother continent and Caribbeans and basically claiming status here in a white supremacist construct that been kicking our asses since the days we got here, since slavery. And if you go and look on YouTube, you got Dr. Rashad Ritchie on Indisputable, who has a YouTube channel with the Young Turks, TYT, the Young Turks. Dr. Rashad Ritchie, almost every other day, he's showing us these white supremacist Karens, white supremacist police officers. Every other day, he's showing us that things ain't really changed, that we're still dealing with this nonsense, with this oppression, with this inequality, with this injustice, with these microaggressions everywhere we're going. You can't even sit up in Starbucks and drink coffee without somebody looking at you funny and asking you questions. But you got people like FBA and Tariq Nasheed that are acting like we're not dealing with any of that stuff inside of this white supremacist construct. And while acting like ain't none of that going on, he's calling himself delineating from the African family and delineating from Caribbeans and calling all of these people tethers and stuff. Not even taking into account, bro, the only way that we could be successful against white supremacy is with our numbers. How can you call yourself delineating from African leaders on the continent, African sisters on the continent, brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, brothers and sisters from the United Kingdom? How can you call yourself delineating from them and calling them tethers when our numbers here in America, black people, descendants of African slaves, we only represent like 12 to 13% of America's population. There is no strength in only being 12 and 13% of America's population, bro. There is no strength in that. That's one of the main reasons Roland Martin is always on his doggone platform, always complaining about politics. This dude thinks that we can actually make a difference in white people politics with them small ass numbers. Ain't nothing really gonna change for black people here in America with them minute ass numbers. And then not only that, we don't even have no bargaining chips. We don't have no bargaining chips. We don't control no resources like Africa does. Africa got all kind of resources, and the resources that they have, America want them resources. America want them resources so bad, they ended up killing Muammar Gaddafi, Kwame Nkrumah, Sankofa, Steve Biko. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of African leaders who were trying to go in a different direction, trying to separate themselves, get away from the colonization, the colonized mind, that ended up losing their life because the CIA is over there, putting money in people's pockets, giving people 30 shekels of silver to sell out the entire continent. And that brings me, to the nonsense that I was hearing him say on this one particular show that he did. On this one particular show, it's called "What Unity in Africa is the CIA supposed to be infiltrating?" I couldn't believe he asked that question. What unity in Africa is the CIA supposed to be infiltrating? So I guess he don't know nothing about Mali, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso. He doesn't know about them 3 African leaders that just came together. Not to mention, South Africa is a part of BRICS. What is BRICS? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And Julius Malema is one of the ones that are backing Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Just them 4 right there. South Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And these 4 technically are connected to BRICS. So I'm like, that right there tells you just how out the loop this dude is with his own people. He don't even see what's happening. He don't even see what he's working against. So I'm listening, right? I'm listening to him.
Free, what's up, Free?
Tariq. What's up, man?
What's going on with you, Free?
Hey, you know, I got to press you on a couple things, and I got to ask you a general question on one thing. I'm limited on time, so I'll try to keep it short because I'm limited on time.
Free, you called before, right?
Yeah, we spoke.
Okay, yeah, you're Jamaican, right?
Nah, not even close, man. Not even close. But look, let me ask you, man.
Because that's important.
Why'd you switch it up?
No, that's important. That's important.
No, I think it's important to know what. I mean, it's your space. You have a lot of followers.
Why you doing? The fact that you were deliberately trying to duck and dodge where you're from, now that's suspicious.
I won't have to duck. I mean, you can look through my tweets and you can see where I'm from. I'm from the Caribbean. All right, so, but excuse me, what?
With Liberty Mutual,
And see,
customized car insurance.
that's another thing I noticed about Tariq. I'm like, yo, bro, why even have a show where you won't even let nobody talk? You keep putting people on mute. People come on your show, they be having legitimate points. And I noticed that whenever they corner you on your bullshit, you go into excess mute mode and start talking all that high school nonsense. Talking to people like you from in the 10th grade. Call it just name calling it. I'm like, yo, man, how old are you? It's like, yo, how do your children feel about you? Do they see you as a grown man? I mean, because I'm quite sure the stuff that they hear you saying to other black people on your platform, even some of the Caucasians that come onto your platform, the stuff that you be saying to them is distasteful. I don't even talk to Europeans like that. As much as I want us to come together and unify, as much as I want us to separate from the white supremacist construct, I don't disrespect them and talk to them like that. That's another thing that makes you look suspect, bro. How you gonna be calling yourself delineating from Africans? You represent only 12-13% of the United States population, and you talking all greasy to the white supremacists that are ruling over you, while living, in the area that you live at. So it's like I said, how can you not be a black COINTELPRO agent? Everything about you is FBI black COINTELPRO agent. Everything about you. It's like you already not even allowing this brother to speak.
But my question for you is, why did you switch it up?
Switch what up?
All right. The things that you are saying now are in direct contradiction to things that you were saying a handful of years ago. And I hopped into space at a moment where you were mocking the idea of CIA. Why would the CIA want to do anything with Pan-Africanism? All right. Out of your own mouth, out of your own mouth, you were pushing that theory. It wasn't that many years ago.
What theory?
It's not like this is pre-iPhone. Like,
What,
Why would Tariq Nasheed ask a dumbass question like that? That is the most idiot for a brother to be so intelligent and doing videos like In Living Colors. Why would he ask a dumb, stupid ass question like that? The CIA has been involved with Africa, bro. Who do you think are responsible for the coups that be happening in Africa? Who do you think was responsible for the death of Muammar Gaddafi? And why do you think that Muammar Gaddafi was killed? What was it that Muammar Gaddafi was trying to do on the continent of Africa? Why is that man dead today? The man is dead today, Tariq, because of CIA involvement. This whole fucking question is a goddamn deflection. What unity in Africa is the CIA supposed to be infiltrating? Any African person, any person of African descent that's talking like Marcus Garvey has always been a threat to America for some strange goddamn reason, and I don't understand it. The reason why I don't understand it is because people with the Marcus Garvey mentality is Africa for the Africans. We have no desire to be under white supremacist rule. Why do we not desire to be under white supremacist rule? So we won't be wasting our time and energy complaining about it every goddamn day. Like Roland Martin, like Vicky Dillard, like Tariq Nasheed, like the Black Authority, like Rashad Ritchie, Roland Martin. Nobody wants to keep wasting their energy every goddamn year complaining about how unfair white supremacy is. But for some reason, we are on the FBA'S radar. What does the real question is, what does unity between Africa and descendants of African slaves, what is it about that unity that would make the CIA attack it? Maybe wealthy black people here in America giving assistance to Africa would keep African leaders from having to go to China and India and Brazil and Russia. But shout out to them, because those are African bloodlines. Those bloodlines are grafted into the African family. That's the reason why all of them came together. That's ancestral blood inside of all of them that made them come together, because they understood, or ancestors made them understand what it is that they're dealing with when it comes down to white supremacy. But overall, it should not have happened like that. It should not have started off like that. But it's like the unity is actually going backwards. What I'm saying is we're supposed to be unified with Brazil, Russia, India, China. As Africans, we're supposed to be united with them, but it was supposed to happen like this first, where you have wealthy descendants of slaves here on the United States continent using their wealth to assist African leaders on the continent, especially when it comes down to the resources. We have all these educated black people here in America, but the way folks be talking, they make it talk like the black woman is the most educated in the black community. So let's just go with that. So you have all these educated black women, educated, wealthy black women, and they're supposed to be giving assistance to African leaders on the continent. And these educated black women who are masters of science, masters of technology, masters of engineering, masters of mathematics and agriculture, these wealthy black women are using their master's degrees to be of benefit to Mother Africa, to be of benefit to African leaders on the continent. That way Africa don't have to be dealing with the colonization situation. their brains are not being scrambled by white supremacy to where now they're bowing down to white supremacists instead of their own family. Or they're having to depend on other nations other than their own people. Africa's supposed to be dependent on descendants of slaves before they're dependent on Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And I already know what FBA'S gonna say. It was the Africans that sold us into slavery. It was the Africans that sold us into slavery. But y'all don't even know the history. A lot of y'all, and this is probably the reason why we dealing with what it is that we're dealing with. A lot of the people that ended up in slavery were traitors to Africa. Criminals, people that, involved in nefarious things. People that were ultimately responsible for Africa getting colonized in the first place. And you even had those, who were trying to fight against that as well. But I mean, the mess got so bad on the continent of Africa where you basically had traitors fighting against those that were woke. And the woke ones ended up losing the battle because of the people that the non-woke ones, the non-woke Africans, the ones that they were jumping in bed with. When you jumping in bed with people that got cannons and rifles and things of that nature, the ones that are woke are going to end. It turns into a losing battle. So now the traders of the land that get sold off into slavery, now their family members are upset with the woke ones that sold the traders off, and they joining forces with the people that are exploiting that division, exploiting the division between these two Africans. And then ultimately Africa just falls into the hands of the colonizers.
Slow down.
Yeah, go ahead.
What theory was I pushing about the CIA?
You're pushing the fact that the Marcus Garvey movement was basically destroyed by the government, and then on this space, you're mocking that very idea. So
I gotta pause on that. It was not the CIA that was responsible for the dismantling of the UNIA, Marcus Garvey's UNI movement. It was the FBI, it was J. Edgar Hoover and house niggas that was on J. Edgar Hoover's payroll. It was the FBI that was responsible. It was the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, and FBA'S in that day. FBA'S that was on J. Edgar Hoover's payroll. Probably Tariq's daddy and shit. Tariq Nasheed's grandfather and shit. One of his family members was probably one of the FBA'S back then that was on J. Edgar Hoover's payroll. It wasn't the CIA, fam. I understand, where you coming from. Yes, I did notice that, Tariq, somehow managed to crowbar his way into these pro-black conversations. I'm like, yo, how does dude go from talking about pimping and macking our women to the pro-black conversation? How the hell did that happen? How do you go from talking about pimping out black women and macking black women over to the pro-black discussion? That's some black FBI COINTELPRO agent type shit as far as I'm concerned. But at any rate, yo fam, I just want to let you know that wasn't the CIA, that was the FBI, that was J. Edgar Hoover and them house niggas, FBA'S in the past, that was responsible for the Garvey Must Go campaign.
Oh, and there are a number of examples of you saying with your entire chest one thing years ago, and now saying the complete opposite thing right now. And my question for you is, why did you switch it up? Are you being paid to switch it up? Does somebody have something on you? Is that why you're switching it up?
Probably.
Give an example for why you're switching it up and you're not being consistent.
Okay.
Hey, yo, check this out, right? I remember some years ago, right, the FBI raided Tariq Nasheed's house. There was some type of raid on his house, man. FBI ran up in his crib, and now I'm starting to wonder, what is it that they found? the FBI pulled a P Diddy on Tariq Nasheed back then, and this is not too long after he was doing his macking stuff. Talking about pimping women and macking women, he was on that P Diddy stuff. And I noticed that during the P Diddy trial, you know, he wasn't really, you know, upset or feeling embarrassed about, you know, the types of things, you know, that P Diddy was involved in. It's like I detected a certain type of support for that brother. The only thing I support about P Diddy was his Revolt channel, because it looked like at that particular point he was becoming woke. I was like, man, good deal, man. This brother got money. He's starting to come into the light, you know. But then, you know, we see him whooping up on some dude's daughter, and I'm like, oh man, I'm embarrassed to be a black man today. Tariq didn't have that type of energy when it came down to P Diddy, but I do know it might have been like back in 2012, 2013, somewhere back then, the FBI raided his crib. And it made me wonder what it is that they found on his ass, because this brother's right. Tariq is not the same dude, you know, that we saw that did Hidden Colors. He don't talk like that same dude. That's why I'm out here, you know, bro, how can you not be an FBI informant? How can you not be an FBI COINTELPRO agent? You act like strength doesn't come in numbers. You gain strength when you are uniting with brothers and sisters, the woke brothers and sisters, not focusing so much attention on the house niggas that are on the continent fighting with you because the white man told them to. Not focused on them, focused on the woke brothers on the continent, like Ibrahim Traore or Julius Malema or Dr. Arikana Chiambari Kwao or Palo Lumumba. Those are the ones you need to be focusing your attention on, Tariq. But you focusing your attention on the ones that are always trying to undermine us. Yo, they gonna have their day. Ancestors gonna give them their day. If you're gonna pay attention to them, pay attention to the woke ones also. But you're not doing that. It's like you ain't trying to up the numbers. You're not trying to increase the numbers of Pan-Africans. Shoot, like I was saying earlier, man, all these educated women, masters of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, agriculture, they were supposed to have been over there doing their Marcus Garvey thing with the African leaders, so that these African leaders did not end up becoming CIA puppets. But we got people like you, Tariq, that be turning our black women away from doing that with the way that you talking. Every time I hear a sister come on your platform and got that word tether in her mouth, I'm like, oh my God. The worst thing in the black community is a black woman that is a house nigga. That's the worst person in the black community, is a black woman that is comfortable inside of white supremacy and supports it. And calling her own people from the mother continent tethers. Calling her own people from the Caribbean tethers. Calling her own people from the United Kingdom tethers. While watching her son get punched in the face by the police for no goddamn reason. For her daughter ended up hanging in a goddamn jail cell just because she was smoking a cigarette in the police face, who was accusing her of her turn signal not being turned on. Now she dead in jail. Got another mother over here watching her daughter in the kitchen taking a pot of hot water off the stove, being told to put it down, and when she put it down, she gets shot in the face. That is the reason why these black women are the worst black women in the black community. How the hell can you be comfortable in a society that is doing this to your children? Turning your children into animals. Have we not noticed the decline, the moral decline of our black youth today? Why do you think that's happening? You don't think that's got anything to do with these vaccinations that they keep sticking our babies with? The babies that are born in the hospital, what is it in that goddamn needle that they sticking in our children? What is it in that goddamn needle that they sticking into the back of our black women? What is it that they're feeding our people? What is it that's in the goddamn water? These are things that Tariq he acting like these are not things that we should be concerned about inside of a white supremacist construct. This dude it's just like his caller is saying. He just like going completely backwards and totally not even understanding the importance of numbers, how strength comes in numbers, delineating from African citizens, Caribbean citizens, and black citizens in the United Kingdom. That is the wrong fucking move.
Slow down, because you're trying to do a gotcha. Your gotcha is failing, so slow down. Paid by who? And for what?
I'm asking you, who are you getting paid by? And the reason why I asked about getting paid is because out of your own mouth, you push the idea that the people who try to sow division between Africans and Black Americans.
Stop, because now you're doing tether shit. Because now you're lying.
Oh Lord, no, he's not.
That's what the problem is.
He's not lying.
You lie.
He's not.
That makes people want to delineate from people lying.
You lying. And I noticed that about FBI COINTELPRO agents. The very thing that they are doing, they accuse other people of doing that. That is an FBI tactic. That's FBI psychology 101. If it looks like you are in a jam and you are being called out on your bullshit, accuse the accuser of doing the bullshit that you're being accused of. That is FBI psychology 101. The desired result that you want to get is you want that accuser to look like a raging psycho. You want the accuser to lose their marbles when you are accusing them of doing the very thing that you are doing. Accusing them of doing the very thing that you are doing. The desired effect is to make the audience see that this person that is accusing you of your bullshit, you want to make the audience see this person that is accusing you, you need the audience to see this person as a raging lunatic. That is the desired result. You gotta make the people that are watching feel like the person that is accusing you is a raging lunatic. Telling you, man, he does the very thing that he accuses these other people of doing, man.
All right? No.
I'm posting videos to the net. These are your own words.
What did I say that talked?
Why did you remove the video from the net?
No. Don't talk over me.
Oh.
You're trying to do a weak.
Oh my God, he's not talking. You know what? I'm driving and I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset with this dude. This dude is so disingenuous. Something is going on with this dude. Something's going on with this dude. That's all I know. But I just feel like how much longer are we going to have to continue going through the same old shit? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Shoot, just last week, there's a video that went viral of this one police officer physically assaulting a teenage black dude who was handcuffed. He punched him in his face while he's handcuffed. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes down to law enforcement, we have to obey law enforcement. I mean, come on, man. Our ancestors, our East African ancestors are the ones that created laws, statutes, and commandments. If anybody should be able to follow the law, it's us who are descendants of those that created the law. So yeah, I do have, a problem with people who don't have any respect for law enforcement. But at the same time, I do understand that in this white supremacist construct, they be taking advantage of their positions. They be abusing their authority. But you can tell which ones are abusing their authority and which ones are not. Yes, I do know that, we don't have, it does look like there is no justice for us in this country, and we feel like we got a bucket a little bit, but that ultimately leads to the stuff that I be saying, man. If we wasn't in this white supremacist construct, we would not be seeing viral videos of our brother getting punched in the face while he's handcuffed. We wouldn't be seeing viral videos of our sister getting shot in the face while she's unarmed in her house. We would not be mourning brothers who are sitting in their apartment eating ice cream and a police officer mistakes his apartment for her apartment and shoots him in his apartment. We would not be mourning brothers who have a license to carry a firearm and is forthcoming with that information that he is licensed to carry and is trying to remove the weapon for the officer so he is not seen as a threat, but the officers see him as a threat anyway because he's a black dude and he ends up dead, getting shot dead in front of his children. We wouldn't even be experiencing none of this stuff if we weren't dealing with these goddamn FBA'S who are responsible for us still being here dealing with this shit. It's these FBA'S that are the reason why we are still here dealing with this. If they had left Marcus Garvey alone back in the day, back in the 1900s to the 1930s, if they had to just let the movement ride like how it was supposed to, man, we could have been done built a real Wakanda over in Ethiopia by now. Because that's where he was focused on that particular area because that is the biblical territory that our ancestors established. The first civilizations were in East Africa, from Ethiopia all the way over into southern Iraq, from Ethiopia up through Egypt over into southern Iraq. All of that East African territory is where our ancestors established the first civilizations. And he was focused on rebuilding all of that. To tell you the truth, man, Wakanda really is based on our history. Those first civilizations were under the control of our mothers. They were under the control of the matriarchy. Man, I'm done with this, man. I'm done. I'm telling you, man, these FBA'S, they are working for they are working for the United States government. Because what happens when we are unified is all of the resources that America is profiting off of, all of the resources that Europe is profiting off of, they are not going to profit off of those resources like that anymore if we unite. The economy of the United States is based on resources that they are getting out of Africa and Haiti and other countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And I'm going to say this before I end. I'm really frustrated with my Latino and Hispanic family and my native Indian family. Because yes, there are resources here on this land, and they sitting back allowing the white man to just take all this shit. They're dependent on the white man to take their resources and then give it back to them. And then make them pay it back in the form of paper money, in the form of fiat currency. It's like, how stupid is somebody like Tariq and these foundational black Americans to not understand that? They're taking our resources from our ancestral lands in Africa, and they're taking our cousins' resources from here in this land and doing whatever it is that they're doing with it. And they're basically converting our resources into fiat currency and then paying it to us in the form of payroll, and then we turn around and pay it right back to them. I mean, it's like, what the fuck kind of system is this? There was no such thing as fiat currency in the beginning. Our ancestors were dealing with bartering and trading and bartering. You got this skill, and this person's got that skill, and this person over here got that skill. Let's put our skills together. Let's be of assistance to one another. That's how our ancestors was getting down. Take STEM, for example. STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Let's take some trades. You got carpenters, you got plumbers, you got electricians. All of these are talents that don't require any money. And you got farmers. You got a carpenter that don't know nothing about farming. He don't know nothing about electricity or being an electrician. He don't know nothing about plumbing. All he knows is how to be a carpenter. The person that's a plumber, he don't know nothing about carpentry. He don't know nothing about being an electrician. He don't know nothing about farming. All he knows is how to be a plumber. You got a farmer, he don't know nothing about being a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter. He don't know nothing about that. All he knows is how to be a farmer. But all of them come together and they make a civilization, man. You don't need money. Money is not even real. It's only real in the white supremacist capitalist system. When you unify with your own people, you make your own system. You make your own rules. You make your own game. You don't have to bow down to a foreigner that don't even have your best interests at heart. You bowing down to white supremacists that don't even have the best interests of the black community at heart. This mess is fucking frustrating, man. Like I said, if it wasn't for foundational black Americans in the past, during the days of Marcus Garvey, we would not be in this mess today. Still in this mess today. These people are perpetuating our problem. Our own among us, these Judas Iscariots among us, they are the ones that are responsible for us being stuck in this goddamn white supremacist construct. Having to get up and go to work for somebody else when none of us are enjoying our lives anymore. Because we are working in a construct that does not fit us as a people. We had our own civilization. And for those of y'all that follow me and you know my understanding of the Bible is different from yours, but don't y'all Bible say, did y'all not see in the Bible where it says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. Come unto me and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Meaning that if you separate from the Roman Empire and you come and you rebuild the empire that your ancestors had, your life is going to be a lot better than it is while you're under the yoke of a foreigner. That's why Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 14 through 15 say what it say. Man, I'm done, man. This dude, man, he is an enemy to our race, man. Him and his FBA followers. Anybody that's got that tether word in their mouth is an enemy to unity. And the same thing goes for family members on the continent of Africa that are also bowing down to white supremacy and trying to undermine anything that we're doing in regards to trying to create unity in the African diaspora. They are a threat to us as well. We gotta identify these people, man. The only reason why their platforms are bigger than the platforms of true Pan-Africans is because they work for the goddamn government. That's the reason why their voice is so prevalent on these social media platforms, because they're getting assistance from the United States government. They're not shadow banned like those of us that are real Pan-Africans. They get the support from the U.S. government because their responsibility is to maintain division in the African diaspora. Those of us that understand what it takes to maintain unity in the African diaspora, they're going to always make sure that we're shadow banned on these social media platforms and that our voice is silenced. That they got us sequestered over there in a corner somewhere. They got us exiled over there on an island by ourselves and whatnot. All right, y'all. Peace, blessings, love, light. Yah the Most High. Ancestors dwelling in the light of Yah the Most High. Ancestors, children of the sun, shine down on the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting His gods on earth. Please remove these Judas Iscariots among us. Make them tell on themselves. Make them expose themselves so that we can maneuver properly.